Joining me today are Udayan Bose, founder and CEO with NetElixir, and Andrew Carlson, the Vice President of Marketing with Parmer. They're here today to share a case study on harnessing the power of customer data to make B2B search marketing work. I'm going to turn it over to you now, Udayan.
Thank you very much, Marissa. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present this along with my dear friend and our client from Parmer, Andy Carlson. I'll just start with some quick introductions first. But before diving in, let me share with everyone as to what we were planning to cover in our presentation today. After the introductions, I'll hand it over to Andy to take you through a little bit about the partnership details and some of the results that we have been able to collaborate and drive. Then I'll sort of request him to take on through the key success drivers. What was the secret sauce almost that we were able to really drive some incredible results. And finally, I'll just wrap it up with learnings and some of the key takeaways as well. So without further ado, Andy, let me quickly introduce you. So Andy Carlson, he's the VP of Global Marketing and e-commerce at Parmer. He has spent his time basically focused on life sciences, biotech and pharma, industrial safety and network infrastructure industries. He is an MBA and a BS from the Marquette University. A little bit about Parmer. I'll not go through the entire list. As you can see, it's the company over the last 65 years has really built a very stellar brand in its category. It's a leading global manufacturer of proprietary products for fluidics, environmental analytics, lab essentials, and critical research and process equipment for life sciences industry. A little bit about NetElixir. We are a digital marketing agency. We help e-commerce brands find and engage high-value customers and acquire game-changing insights. We work with a wide range of customers. We from B2B to B2C. And we also are privileged to partner with UPS. We are a customer technology program partner for UPS. We are also a premier partner for Google and Microsoft as well as Facebook. We provide an entire range of digital marketing solutions for, again, e-commerce companies, both B2B e-commerce as well as B2C e-commerce, starting from paid search and shopping management, search engine optimization, social media marketing, Amazon services, analytics consulting, and of course, website development or e-commerce tech development. Now, with that, let me hand it over to Andy. Andy will sort of take you through some of the highlights of the partnership that NetElixir and Parmer really have had over the last few months, and also share with you the results as well. So Andy, let me hand it over to you.
Sure, thanks, Udayan. Yeah, so as Udayan said, we've been working with NetElixir at Parmer for about the last 6 months. And NetElixir is managing not only our paid search in all the countries you can see listed here, but also our Amazon marketing and our SEO strategy and execution. And, kind of some of the primary reason we chose to work with NetElixir, one, a history of working together and driving successful partnership and delivering results, right? And when you're new in a company, you want to choose partners that can help you succeed. And Udayan and team have done that for me time and time again. So thank you, Udayan. And and the other reason is we were working with some very successful and very good agencies previously, but it was we were working in pockets and we weren't getting any of the synergies that working with an agency kind of across all of these functions could provide. And I'll show an example of that here in a few slides. So Udayan, we go to the next slide, thank you. So, some of the results that we've seen early on, right? So we've been able to drive a 20% return on ad spend. I won't spend a lot of time here on the results. You're more interested in the insights and actions, but and while doing that, we've been able to grow revenue while reducing spend. It's easy to improve your return on ad spend by cutting spend, but we've actually been able to drive revenue growth and increase our return on ad spend. So that's a very nice metric here. And at the same time, revenue is nice, margins even better. So we've also been able to drive a 300% improvement or 300 basis point improvement, percent would be great, improvement in gross margin, and drive new customer acquisition across all of these channels and improvements year over year in that category. So when you look at our Amazon marketing performance, it's been incredible. And I'll talk a little bit about how we've been able to do that as well. But our return on ad spend has increased 4x, and with a 5x increase in orders. And when we started the year, I gave my team a growth goal that was 17% over prior year. And we achieved that in dollars by the end of August. So anything that we receive or anything we earn between now and the rest of the year is just icing on the cake. Okay, Udayan? So some of the key success drivers, and what I'll talk through here is kind of 3 insights and then hopefully actions that maybe you can take back. When you're thinking about changes or different ways to look at your paid marketing or Amazon marketing performance. So the first thing we realize, and so Cole Parmer we sell consumables. So we sell a $10 box of nitrile gloves, and we sell $40,000 pieces of lab equipment and everything in between. And one of the insights that we had is we needed to extend our look back period and give some of the equipment purchases time to actually earn the purchase. And so when we did that, we realized that the campaigns that we're running today were driving revenue much further downstream than a normal look back period would allow for. And you can see here on the chart that not only did that improve our ability to understand the impact of a campaign, but those campaigns with the longest look back period made a difference, we were seeing a 2 times increase in our average order value. And so, you bring that insight back into your campaigns, and campaigns that you may have thought were not performing because you weren't giving them enough time to perform, or we weren't giving them enough time to perform. By extending that look back period, we were able to continue to fund campaigns that were driving really, really nice results. So the action here for us was to allow for a longer look back period when analyzing your performance. So the next insight here is, I talked briefly about wanting to get those synergies across paid marketing, across Amazon, and across organic. And I think what you see here is evidence of how that can work, right? So typically, if you're analyzing paid marketing in Google or paid marketing in Bing, it's separate from Amazon, separate from organic, you may do things in serial, right? And you may say, well, that didn't work in Google, so let's maybe deprioritize it or not feature it when we move over to Amazon or when we start working on our Amazon campaign. And what we saw here was there were some keywords that performed in campaigns that performed really well on Google that did not perform on Amazon, and vice versa. Some that were not performing in Google and performed really, really well in Amazon. And I think that speaks to how different customers use these different channels to buy different products and how they think about them in their day-to-day. And so without the ability to kind of see across those channels, we would have missed these insights and potentially deprioritized some products in Amazon that weren't performing in Google, or deprioritize some products in Google that weren't performing on Amazon, leveraging previous results. So the action here is kind of, make sure you're building cross-channel analytics and measurement into your optimization cycle, and allow those insights, provide those insights to the team that's working across those channels. And then finally here, moving on specifically to Amazon, and you can see here we've had a dramatic improvement in our return on ad spend over time and in orders over the last few months, even in the face of a pandemic. So very nice performance here. And I think one of the things that the team did a really nice job on is we started by owning our brands and making sure that we were owning our brands and understanding what that meant to own our brands on Amazon. And then extending those brands into kind of some of the larger generic terms that would generate impressions, and then mining those impressions and mining those conversions, and then refining, right? But where oftentimes people stop when refining is you stop at the end of the refinement. But no different than when you acquire customers, you think you need to think about the other side of the bow tie. and focus on customer expansion and customer retention, you need to do the same thing with your keywords, right, in your campaigns. And so after refinement, you need to then begin to expand and think about the other side of the bow tie when it comes to the keywords and campaigns that you ultimately optimized and refined into. So, Udayan, back to you.
Thank you very much, Andy. Thanks a lot. I'll just add on to what Andy has mentioned. But before I do that, I think, Andy, let me very clearly call upon, I think all this wouldn't have been possible without a tremendous amount of collaboration within our team members. John from your team has been amazing, as have been the other team members as well. And I'm really, I have to really use this opportunity to thank all of them. Some of the learnings and key takeaways, I'll just keep it at a more higher level or macro level, because Andy has shared with you some of the key success factors and the actions also. I really have to give a lot of credit to our technology platform. So we have a proprietary customer intelligence platform, which essentially analyzes in real time the customer journeys. And we are able to algorithmically segment the customers, because our entire thesis out here is not all customers are equal. So we really wanted to identify the high value customers by product category. And we really wanted to really focus on our advertising efforts to really win more of those customers for that particular category. This is a platform that has taken us almost about 5 years to build, but this has been, I think, one of the big reasons of our success, as Andy mentioned about latency or things about understanding the entire bow tie structure. I think those wouldn't have been possible if we didn't have this platform in place. We also really have been able to implement what we call the fast model to content. We start with just understanding voice and brand knowledge. So our content manager essentially spent a lot of time with Andy's team, just learning more about the brand voice and just getting as much understanding as to what was that really message which resonated with Cole Parmer's customers. Then we went into a significant amount of what we call the audience understanding and development. So we really looked at different audience types, and again, really sort of got into a pretty strong testing-driven approach to understand as to what story should we be able to share and tell these very specific audience segments. So that model really helped us substantially tweak our overall messages. This is just sharing with you very specific some of the outcomes we have been able to drive over the last 6 months, as Andy mentioned. Because of the personalization, we were able to not just personalize the ad copies, but we were able to amplify the impact through usage of search engines' machine learning modules. I'm pretty sure many of you who are listening to this probably are using things like RSAs and so on, but we are able to really utilize these modern search modules, as we call it, to really personalize the overall ad which was served to different customers of Cole Parmer. The result has been quite phenomenal. We have been able to drive 366,000 incremental impressions, over 35,000 incremental clicks, leading to a $1.5 million incremental revenue over the last 6 months from these machine learning powered personalized ad messaging that we have really been able to do. My last learning that I really wanted to focus on is something about the global campaign. Since we are managing multiple countries, campaigns in multiple countries for Cole Parmer, we really had to what we call localize the search marketing campaigns. You really have to be sensitive to the cultural nuances of different countries and what would they respond to. So we have been using the Hofstede model for a very long time. The Hofstede model essentially was published almost about, I think, 30 years back by Professor Gert Hofstede of the University of Maastricht in Netherlands. And he had really analyzed about 81 countries and mapped them based on what he calls the 5 cultural dimensions: the masculine versus feminine, the power distance, long-term orientation versus a short-term orientation, uncertainty avoidance, and collectivism versus individualism. So we have been able to translate all of this into the paid search marketing efforts. For example, the first one, as you can see on the table on the left, PDI stands for power distance. If the power distance is high, that means there is a big gap between different classes of the society. And in those, we have seen that the search campaign really has to use long tail keywords or longer keywords. You really have to go for more specific keywords While if it is, let us say, if it is a low power distance, I think people are more interested in finding out, figuring out, doing those discovery and searches and so on. So we have been able to, about 10 years back, really integrate the Hofstede model into the story, which we are able to really utilize it to the maximum effect for the Cole-Parmer campaign. As we really keep on or continue to expand across different geographies and regions. So those were the three learnings I really wanted to emphasize in this one. And I'll just end with a set of three key takeaways. Those of you who are running extensive digital marketing programs, our strong recommendation would be focusing on the real-time customer journey analytics and segmentation. It's a key component of getting a deeper understanding of the consumer behavior. And it can really help you uncover valuable insights, which, as Andy has shared with you, can be really used for running a lot more effective, a lot more targeted, and a lot more efficient cross-channel digital marketing campaigns. The second would be those of you who are running international digital marketing programs. It's very important that you localize, as we sort of call it, the digital marketing campaigns for maximum impact. You can't really use the same ad copy or the ad style or even the keyword selection. All of them have to be very focused on different geographies or countries. You can't really use the same keyword mix or the same set of ad copies between, let us say, even France, Germany, and Ireland, right? All of them have to be very clearly customized to very, very specific countries and cultures. And last but not the least, a very strong recommendation for utilizing the AI-driven search modules, which have been released by both Google as well as Microsoft, because that's the direction that both the search engines have been taking for quite some time now. And that is the direction we believe, if you really get the framework right, if you're able to apply the modern search modules or the AI-driven modules well, it can really lead to an exponential growth in terms of overall advertising performance and results that you are able to get in. So that's what we had today during this presentation. We'll be more than happy to answer any specific question that you would have for us, but you can also sort of email us. This is Andy and Andy's email, and I'm Udayan Bose, and this is my email address. Thank you very much for your time. Happy to answer any questions at this time. Thank you.
Well, thank you both, Udayan and Andy, so much for sharing your thoughts with the community here today. And Andy and Udayan are here to answer any questions, so please keep those coming. Type them into the chat. They'll get to and answer as many as they can, and you can also connect with them after the fact. Thank you again both so much for sharing your time and expertise here, and certainly look forward to hearing more from you at future events.
Thank you very much, Marissa. Appreciate it.
Thank
Andy,
you.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Take care.